What is up, folks? Today we are in, obviously, as you can tell, we're on location here. This is not my mic, this is for the talent. And we just have this little tiny setup for a Kickstarter video for one of my actor friends. And I thought it would be a great way to demonstrate how I use the EL Zone system to kind of dial in the lighting ratios. Obviously, our talent has stepped out for a wardrobe change. I'm gonna be showing the playback of what we previously shot and kind of walking you through this EL Zone system, because if you're brand new to it, it could trip you up if you're used to looking at the colors of a normal false color. And the biggest reason is because false color is basing its values off of the IRE percentages of voltage, whereas the EL Zone system, which by the way was invented by Ed Lachman of the American Society of Cinematographers, the EL Zone is basing its values off of stops of light, based off of whatever you're feeding down the pipeline. Miguel, who's shooting the video here, I'm gonna have him come in here and show you when you're on your smallHD, because this new software is now a part of all smallHD monitors, okay? And you can see the SDI here. It has a color pipeline. You can see I am feeding it log 3G12, right? So it knows exactly what well, you can see down here for when I have HDMI set up, you can see I have it set up for S-log3 for the color pipeline. When I'm sending it S-log3, when I'm using my A7S3, obviously, right? So you can see here and scroll down what exactly you're sending it. Input type log, camera red, right? It's important to send it the proper color space with the proper curve, so you're getting all of that in there. So once it has that dialed in, it knows exactly what you're sending it. So it knows what to base these stop values off of, depending on the log curve that you're sending it, based upon that specific camera sensor and camera settings. What's awesome about this EL Zone, these are stops of light that will actually match your light meter and the stops on your actual lens. What you're able to do now with this EL Zone system is straight up basically turn any camera that can shoot log, obviously, and then export the log via either SDI or HDMI. You have now turned that camera into a spot meter. So that is completely game-changing in terms of dialing in light ratios. But as you can look here, if you're used to seeing false color, you might see this and go, holy cow, he is over, right? Because in the world of normal false color, you know, our eyes or minds have grown accustomed to this being overexposed. When if we look at our map up here, we know, oh, this is slightly different how they've dialed in the colors for the EL Zone. +6 would be pure white, whereas on more generic false colors, it would be a red. But you notice here, red is 4+ over. But what is on my guy here, which is an orange, you'll notice that's only +2. And this is all based off of 18% middle gray, true 18% middle gray, as it would be rendered of the stop values from this specific camera sensor based upon its settings. So now we know, oh, this actually in the EL Zone is only +2 over, which is actually more akin to what our minds are used to with a generic false color, which +2 would be like the pink, right? Based upon for lighter skin tones. Because if we look at this, we know this isn't over, because all we have to do is look at our histogram of the raw data off the red, and we see, oh, it's not even nearly over there. This is actually quite a nice meaty histogram. If you are using the EL Zone system for the first time, this could really trip you up, especially if you're used to looking at the false color. But why this comes in so clutch is because if you notice up here on our little map up here, you have half stop values right around middle gray. So we have a half under, half over, and then it goes into full stops. But why that half under, half over is so beneficial is dialing in your lighting ratios based upon, is this a low key thing? Is this a high key thing? Here, obviously, you can tell this is a very high key kind of commercial look that we're going for. So this is obviously going to be all very high key, but you can start to see even a little bit of the shadow side, where over here he's a half under, just a little bit on that shadow side, coming down into his shirt and all of that, and then eventually going into 3 stops under when it gets fully off of him back more on that wall. But when you're doing something more what I'm used to doing in the narrative world, which is usually kind of a little bit darker, it really comes in nice to really dialing in your shadow side. Do you want it like just a half a stop under? Do you want it a full stop under? Or like a stop and a half under? And that's where the EL Zone system is going to be a huge game changer. It's all about dialing in those ratios. So you can see on the histogram, no clipping over at all. We actually got the meat of our image is pushing more towards the shadow side. And then if we look here at our EL Zone on the smallHD, we can see where if your eyes, if your use, like if your mind is more tuned in to what false color of IRE values gives you, normally you would look at this here on his nose and think like, oh, wow, we're clipping out. But we're not. That's just +2. So that's, again, like I was saying earlier, that's the equivalent of the pink, right? Because now we're looking at something a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more heavy contrast, not such high key of our previous example. Now, what I want us to pay attention to is, let's watch this shadow side. Because if we look here at the EL zone, you can see as it's moving in half stops. So right here, we're a half a stop over for right there for the Rembrandt. And then as it comes around off the Rembrandt, we can see now we're a half stop under, and then it goes to a total 1 full stop under for his shadow side. And then as you can see, as it comes around to where his hair is, then that's 3 stops under over to 4 stops under, but we're not losing any detail at all. What I'm going to do now is introduce this black side of this ultra bounce, and we can see what that does to our shadow side off the EL zone. So I'm going to walk this in now and kind of guide me in there, Miguel.
Oh yeah.
Did you feel it change?
You can clearly see it.
Yeah, so now you can see. Now we're influencing that shadow side even more. Now, what's fun about this is if this was a source, you could really dial it in. But since we're just using it as a negative fill, you can use it more as to control to where to place it. You know, because if we wanted to maintain that little bit of Rembrandt on his shadow side, you can watch the EL zone and know exactly where you want to place this bad boy. So even though it is a little similar to false color, where it really comes in clutch is watching these half stop values right around your middle gray zone, right around your skin tone zone, and you know, because this is set up with whatever log signal you're sending it, from whatever specific camera sensor you're shooting on, the stops on this are going to match your specific camera settings, which means it's going to match the stops on your lens, which means it's going to match the stops on your meter. So now I've upped the ante here. I've added 3 stops of ND because I really want to be able to turn on this Forza and show how you can really fine-tune those half-stop adjustments right around middle gray. Okay, so I'm just slowly going to bring the light around. And now here you can see, you can start to feel it right there. We're not even hitting middle gray. You can see all of this is half a stop, maybe even 1 stop under. You can see it going into 2 stops under. We're not getting anything over on this side, right? So what we can do now is we can bring up the upstage side with our light map back there and see what happens. And because if you're looking at this and you go, yeah, we want to keep it a little crunchy, but let's maybe get around half a stop plus 1 over, at least on our key side, right? Our upstage key side. I'm going to bring up the intensity. Can you feel that or not? Is it changing over there? What if I walk it in more? Or is it going to bleed too much now? Is it bleeding too much on shadow now? So now we've hit middle gray on his nose. We're hitting middle gray up here on the top. So if I slide over, so now you can feel it. Now you can feel a little bit more drama there. The difference is here, what if we wanted to bring it up a little more, right? Because we're not quite, we're just sitting there on middle gray. So let's see if we can bring this up a little more. And something else we can do is let's give them a little bit more out of this one. So now you're really going to see some differences happening here more on our key side. So we're bringing this up now. Now you can watch it grow in half stop increments. Here it comes in there. And now you can feel it now. Now if we look at that, now we have really nice, we're just barely peeking out middle gray on the Rembrandt side there under his camera side eye there. Let's give it a little more. We can feel that a little more. But now you'll notice this part up here, maybe we're getting a little too hot up there on his upstage side. You'll notice it's a +1 up there, but we're still safe, right? Because this is where, if you come from the normal false color world, this could be dangerous to you. You would think, oh no, but it's not. You have to understand, this is stop values, whereas false color is IRE values, percentages of voltage. Big difference, right? But this is fine tuning for actual stop values. So here we go. I'm bringing this light up a little more now. Now you can feel we got the Rembrandt. What I'm going to do is come over here and bring it down a little bit on that upstage side so it's not so hot back there. Did that come down now, Miguel? Yeah, a little bit. See that? We brought it back down from the... Now it's just all living at a +0.5 up there. Before I brought it down, it was a +1. And now when we come over here, now we got that. Now if you really wanted to fine tune this, all we would do is add a little kicker light back there to bring him back. That's the last ingredient. Yeah, and what's nice about this is you could literally do the same thing with this. Every light you bring in you would dial it in on the stop value, right? So if you are coming from the world of normal false color, this could be a little bit of a mind shift for you, getting accustomed to this different color system, certainly on the overexposure side. The underexposure side, it's pretty similar. However, you know, the greens of the underexposure is a little different from normal false color as well. But here's the bonus of this. The fact that this is now in all smallHD software, you can turn any camera into a spot meter in terms of the actual stop values of light versus false color, which is just the percentage voltage of IRE values. IRE scale is super outdated at this point, very, very old technology. This is something that is going to streamline how you work on set, especially when you have to communicate with your gaffer and your G&E team on set. You can quickly talk about things in terms of stop values. And hopefully your gaffer has a light meter and he can just quickly walk around and dial in those ratios for you. Where I find the EL Zone system comes in clutch is that last 10%, right? Your talent just came in and you got to fine tune everything. You can turn on your EL Zone and see immediately, okay, can we get just a half a stop more on that upstage side? Boom. It takes less than a couple minutes for your gaffer to walk over there and dial that in, and he has the meter, he knows the half a stop difference, right? It really is a game changer, and the fact that now this is standardized, right? The problem with false color is it's different for every camera, every monitor. Their false color is always different. This is a streamlined system. You feed this whatever pipeline of gamma curve you're sending it, the log that you're sending it, it's going to be consistent. You can use this with multiple cameras as long as they're sending that same gamma curve down. And it's special nice for pickup shoots, or you have a second unit DP and you can show him these are the values we're going for. If he's using the EL Zone, he can map it all in as well. So that's going to do it for today. I got to give a shout out to our actor here, David, and also a shout out to our shooter, my filmer here, Miguel. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. All right. Add to this page. And yeah, cool, there it is. Maybe I'll have you get a snapshot of that so they can see it side by side.
You can see it actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that was recording the whole time.
Oh, awesome. You saw me lay it in there?
I saw the whole thing, yeah.
Cool, yeah, so that's what it is there. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.